All right. I'd like to start off by saying Shalom. All praises to the Most High. Tonight's lesson will be called Walking in Your Own Ways. Walking in Your Own Ways. Need a pen? All right. And I just wanted to hit some precepts because I know a lot of people, whether they realize it or not, still walk after their own ways, after their own desire. And the Most High has put all the laws, all the different things we need to be doing, all the ways we need to be walking in right here in the Bible. But on a daily basis, people get so busy doing things to where they start putting out their own plan on what they want to do and how they want to do it. All right. So we're just going to get to some precepts to show people how they're doing that and what we can do to fix it. Let's start off in Proverbs 3 and 5. So tonight's lesson is called Walking in Your Own Ways, which is not a good thing. See, America is teaching people how to believe in themselves, trust in yourself. You can do it. So now the world we live in, everybody is walking in their own ways. It's not too many people who is walking after the ways of Ahaya. Go ahead and read Proverbs 3 and 5.
We're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5, and it reads, "Trust in the Most High with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding."
So we cannot lean unto our own understanding. We are to trust in the Most High with all of our heart. That's in every situation. That's every day. So no matter what situation you get in, you're to keep the trust in the Most High. See, but a lot of people lose that trust. They lose that faith. Then that's when they start wavering back and forth and start doing what they want to do. They know the right way to go, but then they lose that trust, that faith. So then they say, well, you know what? I'm gonna do it this way today, my way, because I done got impatient. And now that's when that wavering spirit comes in, because now you know the ways of the Most High. You're trying to do His way, but then you're doing your ways. You're walking in your way, but then on your conscience, you have the ways of the Most High's ways on your conscience, but then in the flesh, you're walking in your ways. And like I said, that can deal with all situations. It's just not talking about one thing. This deal with relationships. This can deal with how you handle your kids. This can deal with how you handle court issues, the government. This can deal with everything. Walking in, trusting in the Most High with all your heart. With every situation you do, trust in the Most High and watch how He brings you out of it. But if you get in a situation with your wife, or you get in a situation with your kids, or with your mom or your cousin, and you try to start leaning on your own understanding, watch how it gets out of hand. Hebrews 10 and 22. So you have to keep that faith. Keep that faith at all times, no matter how rough the situation gets, or no matter how rough it gets out of hand, you're to keep that faith. And see, and a lot of people say, well, I was trying to do something and it got out of my control. Well, it's supposed to get out of your control because you're not supposed to be the one trying to control it. So if you're one of those people like, yeah, I was doing such and such, but it got out of my hand, out of control to where I couldn't handle it no more. Most High is supposed to be handling all situations. And as long as you keep your faith and your trust in Him, He will make you better. But you have to learn how to go to the Most High when something's bearing down on you and something's not going the way you would like it, you're to learn how to go to the Most High, give it to Him, and let Him deal with it. Hebrews 10 and 22. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 22, and it reads, "Let us draw near with a true heart and full assurance of faith, having our hearts sprinkled from an evil conscience, and our bodies washed with pure water. Let us hold fast the profession of our faith without wavering, for He is faithful that promised."
So the Most High is faithful that promise. So if He's already promised us that He's going to take care of us in bad times and hard times, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do spiritually with Him, He's already promised that He's going to take care of His. So when you get in a rough spot, mentally or physically, you're to hold fast on your faith. Don't waver. Don't go back and forth, because He's already promised that He's going to come take care of it. All right, but you have to draw with a full heart towards the Most High and be assured that He's going to take care of you. You have to know it. You don't need assurance in this. A lot of people are like, well, I need to be assured that you're not going to mess up again. Nah, that's not how it works with the Most High. You already got to know that He's going to be there. He might not come when you want Him, but He's always right there on time before you fall smack dab on your face. Verse 24.
We're in the book of Hebrews, chapter 10, verse 24, and it reads, "And let us consider one another to provoke unto love and to good works, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some is, but exhorting one another, and so much the more, as ye see the day approaching."
So, and let us consider one another to provoke unto love. So provoke, make it happen. Provoke unto love and to good works. Not forsaking. Break down the word forsaking.
We have the word forsaking, and it is G1459, G1459, and the word is incat alapo, and it is spelled EGKATALEIPO, and it means to leave behind in some place, leave, desert.
So forsaken is to leave behind. All right, exhorting.
We have the word exhorting, and it is G3870, G3870, and we have the word parakaleo, and it's spelled PARAKALEO, and it means to call near.
So forsaken is trying to leave someone behind, and exhorting is to call near. So Hebrews 10 and 25 says, not leaving behind, not forsaking the assembling of ourselves together, as the manner of some. So some people do this, trying to leave other people behind or getting rid of other people. But exhorting one another, but inviting one another, other people. So if someone's trying to be in this word, you're to invite them in, not trying to find a way to get them out of here. And so much more, and so much the more, as ye see the day approaching. So you do it more and more, as if the day is approaching, the end day, the end times. So now you do it more and more. So the closer we get to the end times, you're to try to go invite more and more people into this circle. That's your job. Not trying to find a way to get rid of people. Okay? So when you're trying to get rid of people, or you're trying to do people wrong, you're walking in your own way. But when you're inviting people and doing whatever you can to make the group bigger or to make the circle bigger, now you're walking in the ways of the Most High. Hebrews 3 and 10. So you got to be very careful in a lot of different things that you do. A lot of people don't realize when you act a certain way towards someone, you're giving them a snobby look and you're hoping that they never come back around or something. That is not walking in the ways of the Most High. All right. The ways of the Most High says we are to provoke unto love. We are to do whatever it takes to bring the next person in. Just like you was grafted in, you're to graft someone else in. And if you see someone trying to bring someone in, you help bring them in. You do whatever you can to help bring them in. That's what we're to do. All right? Hebrews 3:10. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 10, and it reads, "Wherefore I was grieved with that generation, and said, They do always err in their heart, and they have not known my ways." Verse 11, "So I swear in my wrath, they shall not enter into my rest."
So if you keep making the same errors after knowing the truth, you will not see salvation. We can't keep making the same errors, the same mistakes, and expect to get salvation. Verse 10 says, "Wherefore I was grieved with that generation," talking about us, "and said, They do always err in their heart, and they have not known my ways." So when you're walking after your ways, which is following your own heart, you don't know the ways of the Most High. So the moment you start walking after your own heart, now you are walking completely opposite of Ahaya. All right? Completely opposite of Ahaya. And now it brings error to the situation. Okay? And as long as you keep making those same errors, you will not see salvation. That's what it means when it says, "They shall not enter into my rest." So you cannot walk after your own heart. So that's why tonight's lesson is called walking in your own ways. Because when you walk in your own ways, which is following your heart is telling you to do this, then you're gonna err. But if you say, "Nah, heart, nah," you're deceitful. You're deceiving me to do this. I'm gonna keep what is good and walk after the ways of the Most High. All right. Let's go to Jeremiah 6:10. And you hear people all the time, "Do what's best for you. Follow your own heart." That's what America has taught you. That's what the friends have taught you. People have many friends. And friends, that's the first thing they say. "Well, girl, you should follow your heart. What does your heart say?" "Yeah, you know what? You're right." And all it's doing is going to cause you to err. All right. Jeremiah 6:10. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 6, verse 10, and it reads, "To whom shall I speak and give warning that they may hear? Behold, their ear is uncircumcised, and they cannot hearken. Behold, the word of the Most High is unto them a reproach. They have no delight in it."
So it says the word of the Most High is unto them as a reproach. Hey, brother, can you put your phone on mute so we don't get the feedback from the background? All right. But it says that people do not have a delight in the words of the Most High. So people don't have a delight in following the ways of the Most High. This is how people start making that error, because they don't have a delight in what the laws say do and what the laws say follow. So then this is how they error and start following their own heart and their own ways. But you know what? I know the Bible says this, but that's too much. So I'm gonna follow my own ways. But tonight, the scripture we just read told me to give you warning, and hopefully you can hear. Jeremiah 18 and 12. Because like Hebrews 3 and 10 says, it says people are making errors due to their heart. And now that they make an error due to their heart, they're not following the ways of the Most High. All right? And that heart, it's when you sin, it's all because of your heart. Your heart told you to do so. You follow because you're following what you think is right instead of following what you know is right. Jeremiah 8 and 12. 18 and 12. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18, verse 12. And it reads, "And they said, there is no hope, but we will walk after our own devices, and we will everyone do the imagination of his evil heart."
So everybody will walk after the imagination of their evil heart. Whatever they imagine is right, that's what they're going to do. You know, earlier I was daydreaming about this. Hey, you know, and that's what I'm going to go do. So people start imagining things. Start having all these lustful thoughts in their head and imagining things, and then that's what they end up doing. Instead of doing what's right, the imagination of their evil heart gets them to error. All right? And they say there is no hope. And this is what a lot of people in this world think. This is why they continue to do evil, because they feel like there is no faith. There's no promise. Who promised something to us? And we read in Hebrews where he says he's already given us the promise if we don't waver. But people don't have that faith, which is hope. They don't have that to be patient, to wait for the works of the Most High to go into effect. Jeremiah 17 and 9. So when they don't have that faith, then they start imagining what they think is right. And once you start imagining what you think is right, then that's when you start walking after your own evil heart. And that evil heart is what gets a lot of people in trouble. Instead of doing what's right, you know what's right. And the sad part about it is, a lot of times before people err, they'll probably say what's right. They'll probably be like, yeah, I know what I'm about to do ain't right, but you know what? I got to do it anyway. What do you mean? You know? You just sat here and said what you're about to do. You know it ain't right, but yet you still go follow after that heart, after the imagination of the heart, because it seems good, and do it. Now you've been tricked by the heart to do the wrong thing. Read it.
We're in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17, verse 9. And it reads, "The heart is deceitful above all things."
The heart is very deceitful. And not only is it deceitful, it's above all things. It's at the top of the list when it comes to deceiving people. Go ahead.
And desperately wicked.
So the heart is desperate. What is it desperate for? Because you know consciously what is the right thing to do, and the heart is now so desperate to get you to follow after its evil way, it becomes desperate to make you err against the Most High. Go ahead.
Who can know it? I, the Most High, search the heart.
So when it's time for judgment, the Most High is going to search that wicked heart. Go ahead.
I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways, and according to the fruit of his doings.
So when it's time for judgment day, the Most High is going to go straight to that heart. All right? And he's going to search that heart that deceived you to do wrong. That same heart that deceived you to err. Like I said, you know you're doing something wrong. You know, I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. That's the same heart he's gonna go search when it's time for judgment day. He's gonna search that heart, even to give every man according to his ways. Everything you do, it's gonna come through that. Go back to Hebrews 3 and 12. We left off at 3 and 11. Hebrews 3 and 10 says, wherefore I was grieved with that generation that said, they do err, always err in their heart, and they have not known my ways. So I swear in my wrath, that's a promise, they shall not enter into my rest. Verse 12.
Verse 12. We're in the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 12, and it reads, take heed, brethren, lest there be in any of you an evil heart of unbelief, in departing from the living power.
So you cannot have an evil heart towards nothing, nobody, no thing. And I know people upset you. I know people make you mad to where you want to just you want to just rip their head off. They got dreads, you want to rip them out. But we cannot have an evil heart. Verse 13.
Verse 13. But exhort one another daily.
There go that word exhort. Exhort means invite, call together. But call together one another daily. Go ahead.
While it is called today.
While it's called today. So every day means today. So today you do it again. You call together one another, invite one another. You to do whatever it takes to keep bringing people together. Go ahead.
Lest any of you be hardened through the deceitfulness of sin.
So don't harden your heart towards someone. It's a sin to do so. When you harden your heart towards someone, it's a sin. What does that mean? You get mad at someone and you can't let go. You can't let go. Something happened, I'm going to be mad for a few days. A few days turn into a week. That's a sin. You have to learn how to let go. And if you was walking in the ways of the Most High anyway, you wouldn't even be getting mad like that. If you're able to get so mad at someone and then it just carries on over for a week or two because of the hardening of your heart, then that means you're not walking after the ways of the Most High. You're walking after your ways, after your wicked heart. Because the Most High says he has a forgiving heart. We are to forgive. And not only are we to forgive, we're to forget about the situation. Once you forgive, it's over with. Don't forgive and then bring it back up a couple days later. Break down the word harden.
We have the word harden. And it is G4645. G4645. And the word is skleruno. Skleruno. And it is spelled Skleruno. And it means to endure it. That is, render stubborn.
So stubborn. All right. Harden is someone who is stubborn. And that's someone with a stubborn personality is basically has a lot of pride. You got so much pride to where you're gonna harden your heart on the situation to where you're gonna keep this going. The Webster definition for harden means made unfeeling. Made unfeeling. So someone who doesn't have feelings, wow, I don't care. They so stubborn, they don't care. Knowing they care. No, they care, but they so hurt. They got so much pride. They walk in their own evil heart. The evil heart is telling them, you don't care right now. Instead of saying, nah, you know what? I care about our situation enough, or I care about this situation enough to where I'm not going to harden my heart. I'm sorry. My fault. But people are so stubborn when something happens to where, like I said, next you know, it's a week that went by. They just, I don't got no feeling. I don't care about it, whatever. Knowing that if that other individual decides to say, hey, you know what? All right, you want to be like that? Push the play button. And what's going to come out of that music? Deuces. Now they're going to be sitting there with face. If the other person say, hey, you know what? You done harden your heart all week. You acting like you don't care. No feelings, stubborn. And as soon as they push the play button on deuces, oh, why you want to act like that? Now they want to try to get some act right. Why do somebody got to go outside their way and play deuces for you in order for you to realize that what you've been doing for the last 4 to 5 days is ignorant? It's evil. That's the error. That's the error that we're talking about when you do those things. It's the error that is walking in your own ways and not after the ways of the Most High. Because if you're walking after the ways of the Most High, you'll realize right off the rip, just like we was talking the last couple lessons, like we've been talking about. You'll realize right off the rip that that's not the way to go. I'm gonna change the cycle of this tonight. Verse 14.
Verse 14, we're in the book of Hebrews, chapter 3, verse 14. And it reads, for we are made partakers of Yeshua.
So we are made partakers of the Messiah. So that means we are like him. We're part of him. We're the same bloodline of him. Go ahead.
If we hold the beginning of our confidence steadfast unto the end.
So we got to stay confident. Confident in what? The promise that the Most High has already made to us. He's already made a promise that he's going to take care of us in every situation to where you don't have to start leaning on your own heart and following your own understanding. Go ahead.
Verse 15. While it is said, today if ye will hear his voice, harden not your hearts, as in the provocation.
So it said, if you will hear his voice, you will not harden your hearts. But if you harden your hearts, you are not hearing the voice of Ahia. Okay? Hebrews 10 and 26. For some people, they just can't help it, regardless. Even though they know the right way to go, even though they know the right thing to do, they just can't help it. They just can't help it. They gotta follow that wicked heart. And what does the scripture say? If you know right from wrong and you still follow that wicked heart, read it. Hebrews 10 and 26.
It says, for if we sin willfully, after that we have received the knowledge of the truth, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins.
So if you know the truth, you have received the knowledge on right from wrong, and then you still go out and sin, there remaineth no more sacrifice for sins. What's that? Yeshua dying for your sins to give you salvation is no longer there if you keep willingly sinning. So people are sinning on things they know is wrong, like I said earlier. But why do they do that? Because they are not established with Ahia. And since they're not established with Ahia, they cannot stop sinning. Once you establish yourself with Ahia, you'll stop doing wrong. You'll start seeing, okay, I know that's wrong. I know that's a sin. I'm established with Ahaya, I'm not going to do that. But if you keep sinning and making the same mistakes on stuff you know you shouldn't be doing, then you're not established with Ahaya yet. That's all that means. It's simple. We're going to just cut right to it. We ain't going to fake the funk. That's all that means. If you kept yourself sinning and doing what you know ain't right, because you say it to yourself all the time, consciously, I know what I'm doing is not right. But you keep doing it. You just haven't established yourself. Let's go to James 5 and 8. So that's all that is. So until you decide to finally establish yourself, 100% connect to a higher, and once you fear him, you know right from wrong, you're not gonna do that. Because you're too scared. You're too scared to do such a thing. Go ahead.
We're in the book of James, chapter 5, verse 8, and it reads, Be ye also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Most High draweth near.
It's coming. The coming of the Most High draweth nigh. It is here. And if you're not established, if your hearts are not established with him, guess what? You're not going to see salvation. But you have to be patient in this process. That's what it says. Be ye also patient. Establish your hearts. So you got to be patient in this process because so much is going to go on. So much is going to go on to where it seems like you're on the edge by yourself to where you're going to have to walk after your own ways. But I'm about to fall off the cliff. I gotta do something. Instead of being patient, knowing whatever the Most High has for your journey at the edge of that cliff, you're going to be all right. But too many people be at the edge of the cliff, be like, I got to take matters into my own hand. I'm not falling off this cliff. Not today. You don't know. Ahaya might say, you know what? Today is the day I'm going to let you fall off the cliff. Because I'm ready for you to come home. You don't know. You just really don't know. That's why you have to keep your faith and stay patient in his words and in his ways. Break down the word establish.
We have the word establish.
Mm-hmm.
And it is G4741. G4741. And the word is sterizo. Sterizo. And it is spelled as T-E-R-I-Z-O. And it means to fix, to settle in a state of permanence.
No, right here.
Oh, I'm sorry. To set fast.
So establish is to set fast.
That is to turn resolutely in a certain direction. To confirm.
So establish is to turn in a certain direction. And once you turn in that certain direction, you stamp it, you confirm it. You confirm that this is the right direction. That's what establish means. Let me read it again. To turn in a certain direction, which is towards the Most High, and then you confirm it. You confirm this is right. You don't waver back and forth like we already read in Hebrews 10 and 25. Or Hebrews 10 and 23. 23 down to 25. So when people get the wavering, it's because they're not established. People going back and forth. They this person one day, they this person the next day. But when they establish themselves with the Most High, when they go a certain direction, they turn towards the Most High. That's the direction. They turn in a certain direction, and then they confirm this is the right way. And once they confirm that's the right way, then their conscience and their mind and their body and their soul will not turn that other way again. Establish in the Webster Dictionary is to fix. So to fix something. So if you have an evil heart and you keep walking in the wrong direction and you're walking after your heart, which is an error, now you say, I'm going to establish myself. I'm going to establish my heart, because James 5:8 says, establish your hearts. Don't let the heart be evil and wicked. Don't let it deceive you. Establish it. Turn it one direction towards the Most High. Fix it. Establish in the Webster, to fix, to settle in a state of permanence, to make firm. So you fix something and you make it permanent. That's what that means. Establish. So once you establish your hearts and get it ready for the coming of the Most High, it's permanent. So like I say, if you're sinning and doing wrong on things you know that's wrong, you're just not established yet. And I'm no one to judge. I can't judge you. No one else can judge you. That's why we're here. We're here for each other. We're here for each other to show these scriptures and these ways to help everyone change, so everyone can get to that point to where they can be established. It's a struggle. It's a struggle for everyone. And like I always say, as long as you live in Babylon, you're going to do things that you know that is not right. So we all have to come together. That's why we did these first few precepts of the lesson on coming together. Exhort, bring everyone together. And the more and more you're around your brothers and sisters, the more you will do right. But the more you branch off on your own to separate yourself is when you start following this evil heart. That's why the scriptures we went over in the beginning was on bringing each other together and not getting rid of each other and walking the other way. As long as you walk together, and as much as you walk together, as long as you're with your brothers and sisters on a daily basis, like the scripture says, we've already read 2 scriptures where it says do it daily. Invite your people daily so you can keep yourself out of trouble. But the moment you're by yourself, the moment you're trying to do it on your own, is when you that wicked heart start coming to you and be like, hey, let's go do this. And you're like, nah, I'm not going to do that because that ain't right. But then by the end of the day, guess what you're doing? But the evil heart told you. When that evil heart starts coming, talking to you, trying to get you to do something you don't want, that's when you call your brothers or your sisters and invite them over. Hey, can I come over? Can you come over? Hey, let's do something. Now when you got your brother or your sister there, then you're not going to want to do that. So once you establish yourself with the Most High, there's no going back and forth. Verse 9.
We're in the book of James, chapter 5, verse 9, and it reads, grudge not one against another, brethren, lest ye be condemned.
Condemned means judged. Go ahead.
Behold, the judge standeth before the door.
The judge is the Most High. So grudge not one against another. That's talking about friends. That's talking about family. That's talking about husband and wife. That's talking about everything. Have no grudge against one another. Because now the moment you start having grudges with one another and start judging the other person, you're going to be condemned. Now the Most High is going to judge you. You better be careful when you start judging other people. I don't care if it's your spouse or not. I don't care if it is your best friend. You better be very careful. When you start judging someone else, now the Most High is going to shine the light on you so bright. You better be perfect. You better be perfect. If you're going to start judging somebody, you better be perfect. Because if you ain't, the Most High is going to shine the light on you so tough to where it's going to bring out all your faults. Now you'll be the laughing stock. Verse 10.
We're still in the book of James, chapter 3, verse 10, and it reads, take, my brethren, the prophets, who have spoken in the name of the Most High, for an example of suffering, affliction, and of patience.
So all right, church. I want everybody to get the New Testament Bible only. Ain't that what they doing today in these churches?
Not let me touch it.
You go into a church, they got New Testament Bible only everywhere. Right here it says what? Take my brother the prophets. That means the Old Testament. Who have spoken in the name of the Most High, and use these people as an example. They had to suffer, they had affliction, and they had patience. Use them as an example. If you're struggling with what we're talking about tonight, go read what the prophets did and how they made their way through this. But a lot of people, when you try to tell them the prophets is the Old Testament, the first they going to tell you, nah, the prophets is the disciples. The disciples and the Messiah was the prophets. Now you're arguing with somebody over something ignorant. Nah, the prophets is in the Old Testament. No, the prophets is the disciples, the apostles. Read 11. That's why people got to read through their own. Read 11.
We're in verse 11, and it says, Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard of the patience of Job.
Who?
The patience of Job.
Job is where?
Old Testament.
Okay, go ahead.
And have seen the end of the Most High, that the Most High is very pitiful and of tender mercy.
So the Most High is pitiful and of tender mercy. That's his promise. His promise is that if you endure and if you keep your patience, he is pitiful for you. He will show pity for you. He will have mercy for you if you endure and have the patience of suffering and affliction like the prophets. And he used Job as an example. Verse 12.
Verse 12. But above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by the earth, neither by any other oath, but let your yea be yea, and your nay, nay, lest ye fall into condemnation.
So you don't want to be condemned. Condemned means judged. If you don't want to be condemned, let your yea be a yea and your nay be a nay. And there is no reason to promise something. Don't go around promising things. Yeah, hey, man, I promise I'll do that. Don't worry, I promise I got it. And then you don't do it. And then it says, be a man of your word. That's what it's saying when it says, let your yea be a yea and your nay be a nay. Be a man of your word. Because the moment you're not being a man of your word, then people start judging you off of your word. You say you're going to do something, then you don't do it. Now people kind of judge you like, hey, man, that sister told me she was going to come through for me today and make that shirt for me. Now it's 3 weeks later, and now she ain't even answering my call. Man, now you got a reason to kind of judge me. Hey, Ock told me he was going to pick me up today, and he didn't pick me up this morning. Hey, man, I kind of trusted in you to pick me up. Now I got a reason to judge Ock because he told me he was going to come pick me up, and he did. So be real careful. Don't promise something. Don't say you're going to do something, and then you don't do it. That's all bad in the eyes of the Most High. When you say, I'm going to do it, or you're going to be a part of something, and then you don't do it. All right? Go to 2 Corinthians 1:18. So you just got to be very careful. We're talking about walking in your own ways. That's someone that walks in their own ways and not the ways of Ahia. Because if we're walking in the ways of Ahia, you are a man of your word. I've said it many times. Your word is what? Your credit. Your word is your credit. And everybody out there is a collection agent. And your credit is getting worse. And if you say something you don't do it, credit is getting bad. You say something, I'm going to do this, and then you don't do it, credit just getting bad. Now you got like a 300 score. And now you're trying to go do something with somebody, and then when they don't approve you, you looking at them like, man, why you don't trust me? Like, bro, you know what? Every time you tell me something, you don't do it. Now, what you want me to do? Now you mad at them because they don't want to approve something that you asking them because your credit now is bad. Read it.
We're in the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 18, and it reads, "But as Ahia is true, our word toward you was not yea and nay."
So Ahia says he is true, and our words was never yea and nay. What does that mean? Go ahead.
For the Son of the Most High, Yeshua the Messiah, who was preached among you by us, even by me and Silvanus and Timotheus, was not yea and nay, but in him was yea.
We just yay. Just when we walk in the ways of the Most High, it's yay. Yeah, I can do it. Even if you can't do it. Yeah, I got you, brother. Yeah, I might have to go out of my way to do it, but I got you. You need help today? I got you. That's what it was. It wasn't your brother, your sister in the spirit came to you for something. You like, nah, I can't do it today. Or nah. There was no nay. It was always a yay. We're gonna figure out a way to do this for you. Yeah, brother, it's gonna take me out of my way to do this, but I got you today. And I'm not gonna promise you, I'm not gonna swear that I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna just do it. There's no reason that I gotta look at you like, yeah, I got you, bro. I promise, I'll be there. The moment I just say, hey, I got you, bro. That brother should trust you enough to where he didn't see you do it enough to where the moment you say, I got you, he leave it alone and just wait because he know you're gonna come through. That's how we gotta be. Proverbs 13 and 20. And you should want to do it. You should be waiting to help your brother or your sister. That's how we receive our blessings. We receive our blessings when we're helping one another, especially when we don't even have it, or especially when we can't even do it. If it comes to help with money or helping somebody buy something, it might even be some food. It might be a ride. We got to do it. We never know when our fellow brother or our fellow sister is in need. You might make their day. You never know. They might be starving, and you might go to the store and come back with some food. And they be like, man, right on time. Of course, they weren't gonna tell you, hey, I'm starving today. I don't got no money. They might, hey, but if you go, or you might say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna pick you up today. Somebody's probably doing bad on gas. We never know. We are to just offer. Just do it. Don't have somebody begging you to do something for them. Proverbs 13 and 20. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 13, verse 20, and it reads, "He that walketh with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed."
So if you walk with someone that's wise, you'll be wise. If you walk with a group of fools, you shall be destroyed. So you always want to keep yourself and surround yourself around wise individuals. That even includes the household. You have a household, wives, you want your husband to be wise. Husbands, you want your wife to be wise. You don't want to be sitting in the house with a fool. On either side. For husbands, everything you learn, you're to go home and teach your wife. Show her how to be wise like you. Why? Because she is the unspotted image of you. Just like the Holy Spirit is of Ahia. Your wife is supposed to be exactly like you when it comes to the spirit. When people see you and see your spirit and how you is, and they should be able to look at your wife and be like, okay, she's somewhat the same. All right. Because you're doing everything you can on a daily basis to correct her and reproof her, to have her walk after the same thing you're walking after, which is the ways of the Most High. But if you're not seeing that, if she don't walk after the ways, if she's not a spitting image of you or what you do, then somebody's walking after their own ways. There should be a resemblance, and if there's not a resemblance, someone's walking after their own heart. Jude 1:18. So at all times in the household should be a resemblance of husband and wife on how they do things. When they go out, people should be like, man, y'all was just alike. Y'all go out and the husband goes to the bathroom, she should be able to carry on the conversation that he started. Why? Because the only thing y'all really talking about is the Most High. Now people looking like, dang, you sound like him. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It's my intentions. You know, a lot when I go out, no matter where I am, people I don't know, and then people I do know that I haven't seen in a long time. And guess what? And lately, 7 to 8 out of 10 people I see, I haven't seen in a long time. The first thing they say to me is, man, you looking like a black Jesus. I was like, well, not Jesus, but the Messiah. Or they be like, man, you looking like Moses. I'm like, thank you. That's what my intent was. No, for real. A lot of places I go, so people like, you look like a black Jesus. I'm like, well, not Jesus, but that's my intentions, to look like the Messiah. Thank you. So people should see it in you. So just the same thing in husband and wife, people should see the resemblance. When he's not around, people should look at the wife like, hey, you sound like him, or you act just like him. And the wife should be like, thank you. Jude 1:18. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 18, and it reads, how that they told you there should be mockers in the last time, who should walk after their own ungodly lusts.
So in the end times, people will mock the ways of the Most High because they're walking after their own ungodly lusts. Go ahead.
Verse 19. These be they who separate themselves sensually, having not the Spirit.
So when people are walking sensual, which is like, let's break it down. Give them the definition, the Webster. Go ahead.
We have the word sensual, and it means pertaining to the senses, as distinct from the mind or soul.
So someone who is sensual is someone who's basically fleshly. They're walking after the flesh, feelings. Oh yeah, man, look at that, or kind of that. Or look at them. Oh man, them Rams is tight. They need some 22, something to that nature. They lusting in the mind and not. Lusting in the flesh and not after the mind, which is the spirit. So now, when you're doing these things, you have separated yourself from the Most High. These are the ungodly lusts. That's what verse 18 says. Who should walk after their own ungodly lusts. And now when you walk after your own ungodly lusts, you're mockers. You're mocking the ways of the Most High. The Most High said walk in this way. The Most High said walk after these laws. And now you're lusting after materialistic things. You're lusting after the flesh. Now it's mocking the ways of the Most High. Verse 20.
Verse 20. We're still in the book of Jude, chapter 1, verse 20. And it reads, But ye, beloved, building up yourselves on your most holy faith, praying in the Holy Spirit.
Jump up to verse 16.
Verse 16. These are the murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lust, and their mouth speak great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage.
So not recognizing Ahiah's will, but the desires of men. That's what men's persons, having men's persons in admiration. It's someone that don't recognize the will of Ahiah, but they recognize the desires of men. So now they're walking after their own lusts. And when you walk after your own lust, that means you're walking after what? That deceitful heart. That heart has deceived you to be lusting after whatever you're lusting after, whether it's flesh, whether it's materialistic, whether it's a religion. You're lusting after the wrong thing. Psalms 81:11. So having men's persons in admiration means also trying to flatter people with your words. Having men's persons in admiration is someone who's trying to flatter someone with their words, seeing what he can profit to get out of whom he is flattering. So they'll do something, they'll be around a group of people and they'll do something or say something to see what kind of profit they'll gain from the attention of the room out of the people he's flattering. That's having a men's admiration. That's what that means. So when you're walking after the desires of this world, you're walking after your own purpose. And that's what people have to understand. When you walk after the desires of this world, you're walking after your own purpose. You're not walking after the ways of the Most High right now, because the Most High told us not to desire after these certain things. The Most High told us not to boast. So if you're in front of a group of people and you're always trying to say flattering things and things to get the attention of the room and stuff like that, that's the admiration of men. Psalms 81:11. Go ahead.
When the book of Psalms, chapter 81, verse 11, and it reads, but my people would not hearken to my voice, and Israel would none of me. Verse 12. So I gave them up unto their own hearts, lust, and they walked in their own counsel.
Their own counsel means their own purpose. So they've walked after their own purpose and not after my purpose. And the Most High says these people wouldn't hearken to my voice. So I gave them up to their own heart's lust. So when you lust, you're lusting after your own heart. Your heart is telling you to do this, which is flesh. Your mind, your spirit is not telling you to do it. It's the heart that's telling you to do it. Now they're walking after their own counsel, which is their own purpose. That's not the purpose of the Most High for you to go do that. Why are you going over there and doing that? Or why are you making that decision? The scriptures are not telling you to make that decision. That was your own purpose. You had that plan. That was you that wanted to do that. Verse 13.
Verse 13. Oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and Israel had walked in my ways. Verse 14. I should soon have subdued their enemies and turned my hand against their adversaries.
So if you don't walk in the ways of Ahiah, he will not turn the enemies away. If you don't walk in his ways, he will not turn the enemies away. But guess what? Some people don't have the delight in the words of the Most High. We already read that in what? Jeremiah 6:10. Jeremiah 6:10 says they do not have a delight in my words. So since people don't have a delight in his words and they don't walk in his ways, the Most High continues to let the adversaries come against you. And what are the adversaries? Remember, The adversaries can be something great, right? The adversaries don't always got to be something evil. The adversaries could be something that you would think was pretty and perfect. 2 Corinthians 11 and 14. Let me show you how the adversary works. See, people automatically think, all right, adversaries is something ugly and evil. So I know how to stay away from that. I see something ugly and evil, stay away from it. That's the adversary. No. Adversaries can be 2 Corinthians 11 and 14. Read it.
We're in the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 11, verse 14. And it reads, "And no marvel, for Satan himself transformed into an angel of light."
So Satan himself transformed into an angel of light. So that's what the adversary is working after Satan. So when the adversaries come after you, the Most High says, if you don't walk after my ways, I'm not going to turn my hand against your adversaries. I'm going to let the adversaries attack you. So now when you're not walking in the ways of the Most High and you're walking after your own heart's lust, now he's going to allow the adversaries to come get you. And the adversaries could be something that looks really good and really tempting, and it's not the Most High. So you've been deceived. You've been deceived that something was looking good and then found out later that it was the adversary. Proverbs 19 and 3. That's why you have to be diligent and do your due diligence on everything that you do. And get the approval through who? Ahaya. Ahaya has to approve the situation on everything we do. And if you walk after your own purpose, your own counsel, now Ahaya is not approving the situation. Got to walk in his ways. And as long as you walk in his ways, he will approve all situations for us. To where now he'll keep you away from error. But the moment you walk in your own counsel, after your own heart, the error happens. Because there's no approval. Commit yourself to the Most High. Establish yourself to the Most High. And he will approve all things. Proverbs 19 and 3. This is what happens when you don't establish yourself with the Most High. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 19, verse 3. And it reads, "The foolishness of man perverteth his way, and his heart fretteth against the Most High."
So foolishness of man perverted his way. So what does that mean? People bring themselves into problems, into troubles. People bring themselves into problems. They bring themselves into troubles. And when they get into these problems and troubles, they embarrass themselves. Why? Because the foolishness of a man perverts his way. His way has been perverted to where now, by the time he realizes what he's done, he's in trouble. And now he's embarrassed. And now there's a lot of disappointments because of what they've done. Because of the foolishness. Their mind has been perverted to where they don't even recognize what they did. And by the time they do recognize what they did, embarrassment and disappointment on what they have done. And that's with all of us, men, women, whoever. You make a decision and you do something, and then after a while when you realize, that was the wrong decision because your mind was perverted. You was walking after your own imagination. And now you're sitting here like, man, that didn't go the way I wished it would have went. And now you have to live in your own folly, which is foolishness. 1 John 2:15. So you cannot let your heart fool you through perverted ways. Okay? You got to be due diligent on everything you do. Got to make the right decisions. Because the world we live in, Satan, the adversary is going to be right there knocking at the door to make you do wrong. Every day he's coming. Every day he's coming to make you fail. How do we know he's coming every day? Do we got time? Yeah, we got time. Go to Job. Go to Job 1 and 1 to 6. He's coming every day to make you mess up. That's Satan's plan, is to come every day. If he couldn't get you today, guess what? He's going to be there tomorrow, sending an adversary that looks fun and tempting to make you fail. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Job, chapter 1, verse 6. And it reads, Now there was a day when the sons of the Most High came to present themselves before the Most High, and Satan came also among them. And the Most High said unto Satan, Whence comest thou?
Where are you coming from, Satan? Go ahead.
Then Satan answered the Most High, and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it.
So the Most High asked Satan, where are you coming from? He says, I'm coming back and forth from the earth and up here into the heavens. Go ahead.
Verse 8. And the Most High said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job?
Hey, Satan, have you considered Job? You going to tell on him like you've been telling on everybody else? You've been trying to get everybody else in trouble. What about Job? You going to try to get him in trouble? Go ahead.
That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth the higher and escheweth evil.
So you're going to try to tell on Job? You're going to try to get him to do evil? He out there showing people their evils instead of falling into your trap, the adversaries. Verse 9.
Then Satan answered the Most High and said, Doeth Job fear a higher? For not.
Don't Job fear you? He's scared to mess up. He fears your words. He fears your ways. He's scared to mess up. But Satan, you going to come tell on him? You going to try to go pervert his ways and make him do wrong? So Satan comes on a daily basis to try to get you out of your righteous ways or your virtuous ways. He's coming. The moment you start doing right, Satan is on his way. Daily. 1 John 2:15. So you have to understand, it's a battle. Now that we say we are children of the Most High and we're trying to walk in his ways and follow his commandments, Satan is bringing the hammer. And not only is he bringing the hammer, he has quick dial to the Most High to try to tell on you. Go ahead.
We're in the book of 1 John, chapter 2, verse 15, and it reads, Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Love not this world. That means everything in this world. Materialistic things, people, if these people are not following your ways and following the Most High, love not these people. Go ahead.
Verse 16. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. Verse 17. And the world passeth away, and the lust thereof. But he that doeth the will of a higher abide forever.
So verse 16 says, for all that is in this world, so everything that's in this world, the only thing in this world is the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life. That's the world we live in. So if you're not walking after the ways of Ahia, the only other way to walk is the lust of the flesh and the lust of the eyes and the pride of life. What's the lust of the eyes? What's the lust of the flesh? Proverbs 6:25. So we got to be very careful. But this also includes materialistic things, because people lust after cars, clothes, and purses, and shoes, and all those different things. But a main lust that both male and females have a problem with is this. Read it.
We're in the book of Proverbs, chapter 6, verse 25. And it reads, lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with eyelids.
So don't let her take you with the eyelids. Don't let her look at you with that look and seduce you. Or don't you be looking at a woman trying to seduce her. Lust not after her beauty in thine heart. So that's the lust of the flesh. Neither let her take thee with her eyelids. That's the lust of the eyes. So there's a lot of different ways to commit this lust. Just like women. That's why you should not be walking around with shirts on that's showing your cleavage. Because the moment you do that, now you're making a man sit there and lust after you. Point blank. You got a shirt on that's got your cleavage hanging all out. Now he's sitting there losing his dang, and he can't keep his eyeballs in his head. Losing his mind. Lusting after you because of what you're showing. That's why a virtuous woman is to cover up. You're to cover up to where a woman, to where a man, a woman too. But that's why you are to cover up to where you don't give a man something to lust after. Because if you give a man something to lust after, you're committing the crime now also. And vice versa. Man, you're not to be doing things to make a woman lust after you. Walking around with no shirt on. What you walking around with no shirt on for, dog? What's that purpose? Oh, it's hot. Okay. It's 55 degrees outside. It's hot. You got no shirt on? So it goes both ways. We can't do it. We can't give other people reasons and reasonings to lust afterwards. Verse 26.
Verse 26. For by means of a whorish woman, a man is brought to a piece of bread.
So a man is brought to a piece of bread because of a whorish woman. She can kind of control him. Go ahead.
And the adulteress will hunt him will hunt for a precious life, for the precious life.
So we're not to lust after the beauty. Just because someone's beautiful don't mean nothing. If they're not spiritually and if they ain't committed themselves to the Most High, I don't care how beautiful you are. It means nothing. I don't care how pretty you are. I don't care what kind of body you got. Whatever. If you ain't committed yourself to the Most High, you're actually ugly. Especially if you got tight clothes on, makeup, and heels on. You are actually really ugly to me. To me, at least. A woman walk by and she got heels on, tight clothes. I'm kind of like, my face do this now. But I wish I could tell her. It is nothing like, oh, wow. Oh, man. I'm more like, I wish I could go there and give her some scriptures, some precepts. Kind of show her what she's doing wrong. Matthew 5:27. So we got to learn how to control ourselves. Most High says that's not walking in my ways. Like I said, tonight's lesson is called walking in your own ways. You'll do this type of stuff if you're walking in your own ways. Go ahead.
We're in the book of St. Matthew, chapter 5, verse 27, and it reads, Ye have heard that it was said by them of old time, Thou shalt not commit adultery. Verse 28. But I say unto you, that whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart.
So if someone is lusting after a man or a woman, he says you've already committed adultery, because it's like you're having thoughts about this individual in your head. It's like you might as well already had done it, so it's committing adultery. So we got to be very careful. And I know this is a problem on both sides with a lot of people, because people are just attracted to the opposite sex. There's an automatic attraction to where you see somebody, you kind of, ooh, yeah, okay, yeah. But we got to be very careful when it comes to this. Galatians 5 and 16. Let's get through the rest of these precepts. So we just got to be really careful and try our hardest to work on it. It's one of the things that a lot of people really, really has to work on. All right. Galatians 5 and 16. Go ahead.
We're in the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 16.
Okay. Oh, all right.
And it reads, This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh.
So if you walk in the Spirit, the lust of the flesh is nothing. You'll learn how to get away from the lust of the flesh if you're walking in the Spirit. Go ahead.
Verse 17. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh.
So it's a battle. It's a battle. It's like tug of war. The Spirit is saying, nah, stay over here, dog, be in the Spirit. Then the flesh is like, nah, come over here, lust. Come over here, do this. So it's a battle. They're jealous of each other. That makes sense? It's a battle. They're going back and forth. And it shouldn't be like that, because you should always walk in the Spirit, as verse 16 says. Go ahead.
And it reads, And these are contrary the one to the other.
These are opposite. Contrary means opposite. Go ahead.
So that ye cannot do the things that ye would.
So now you can't do what you need to do, which is what? Walk in the ways of Ahia. How can you walk in the ways of Ahia when you're having a battle between the lust and the Spirit? They're going back and forth. Go ahead.
Verse 18. But if ye be led of the Spirit, ye are not under the law.
So your spirit is after the Messiah. That's why the Messiah came and sacrificed and gave his life up, because your spirit walks after the Messiah. Your flesh is after the law. That's why the law is here. The law is here is for your flesh, so your flesh don't err and get in trouble. The Most High left the laws behind so we can walk after the laws to keep the flesh out of trouble. But spirit-wise, you're to walk after the Messiah. See, this is where the church is getting mixed up at. When they tell you don't got to walk after the law no more. The Messiah died for you. No. Your flesh still needs some rules and regulations, which is the laws. And then your spirit walks after the Messiah. All right. Verse 19.
Verse 19. Now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these.
So it's going to tell you. So this is why your flesh needs the law. Because if your flesh don't have the law, it's going to commit these things. Go ahead.
And it reads, adultery.
That's in the law. The law teaches adultery on a man's part and a woman's part, correct? Go ahead.
Fornication.
Fornication.
Uncleanness.
Unclean. All this is in the law. Go ahead.
Lavishlessness.
Okay.
Adultery. Witchcraft. Hatred. Variance. Emulation. Wrath. Strife. Sedations. Heresies. Envy. Murders. Drunkenness. Revilings. And such like. Of the which I tell you before, as I have also told you in past times, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of God.
You will not see salvation if you're doing these things. So this is why your flesh needs the law. When you learn the law teaches you not to do these things. And then when you learn the ways of the Messiah, that gets your spirit walking in the right direction. See, people got to understand how the two work. You need the Messiah spiritually, his words, and then you need the laws and the commandments for the flesh, to keep the flesh out of trouble. All right. Verse 22.
Still in the book of Galatians, chapter 5, verse 22. And it reads, but the fruit of the Spirit is love.
So now we're going to speak on the Spirit. So we just talked about what happens to the flesh, how you can get in trouble. But if you're in the Spirit, now it's going to break down, if you're in the Spirit, what happens. Go ahead.
Joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Against such there is no law.
So there is no law for this. What is for this? The Messiah's words. Walking after the Spirit of the Messiah. Because the Messiah, when he came, he had to do all this, right? He showed us, when the Messiah came, he showed us how to love. He showed us how to have joy. He showed us long-suffering. He showed us meekness. He showed us a good temper. So through all this, he showed us how to be in the Spirit. He showed us how to have faith. He didn't show us how to sin. Does that make sense? See, when you sin, you need the law to teach you not to sin. He didn't need the law. The law wasn't for him. He came to show us how to walk in the Spirit. Go ahead.
Verse 24. And they that are the Messiahs have crucified the flesh with the afflictions and lusts. Verse 25. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Let us not be desirous of vain glory, provoking one another, envying one another.
So you have to prepare your spirit. You have to prepare your spirit to live in the Spirit by staying in this word. So at that time, you won't have time for the flesh. But so many people put so much time into the flesh. So many people put all their time into the flesh to where that's all they know. Get into the last precepts of the night, Romans 13 and 13. So if you're putting all your time into the flesh, then you're going to do the opposite of what the Spirit needs. But if you're working to live in the Spirit, which is by staying in the words of the Messiah, then you'll be good. Romans 13 and 13, go ahead.
In the book of Romans, chapter 13, verse 13, and it reads, let us walk honestly, as in the day, not in rioting and drunkenness, not in chambering and wantonness, not in strife and envy. Verse 14. But put ye on the Messiah Yeshua, and make not provisions of the flesh to fulfill the lust thereof.
So don't make no excuses for the flesh. provisions. Don't make no excuses for the flesh to fulfill that lust. Some people make an excuse why they gotta go fulfill that lust. Don't make no provisions. But what? But put ye on the spirit of the Messiah. Go to 1 Timothy 1:7. So like I was saying, the Messiah, he didn't need the law. He came to show us how to be right in the spirit. He didn't come to show us how to, he talked about the laws and the commandments, but it wasn't for him. He didn't sin. So it wasn't for him. Laws for us, so it's a difference. Read 1 Timothy 1:7.
We're in the book of 1 Timothy, chapter 1, verse 7, and it reads, desiring to be teachers of the law, understanding neither what they say, nor whereof they affirm. But we know that the law is good, if a man use it lawfully.
So if you use the law lawfully, it's good. How are you using it lawfully? By using it for your flesh to where you don't commit error. Go ahead.
Verse 9. Knowing this, that the law is not made for a righteous man.
So the law was not made for Yeshua. He was already righteous. See, us, we're trying everything we can to become righteous. We're not righteous as of yet. Just like women, y'all not virtuous as of yet, but y'all are doing everything y'all can to change and get there. And once we become fully righteous, man, then we won't need the law no more because we already know right from wrong. We already know not to do that. But right now, we still need the law to make sure we're not sinning. But once you're fully righteous, and once you've learned the laws, you learn not to do that. Because that's what happens. Once you start following the laws of the Most High, you learn not to do that no more. Once you learn this law, you learn not to do that no more. So once you learn all the laws and you learn not to do certain things, now you don't need the law no more. But until then, to keep you from making error, we need the law. Go ahead.
Verse 9, we're still in verse 9, and it reads, but for the lawless and disobedient.
So the law is for the disobedient people. People that continue to err and make sin. Go ahead.
For the ungodly and for the sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind.
Them that defile themselves with mankind. So it's just telling you all the people that the law is for, these type of people. All right. So don't let nobody sit here and trick you and tell you that we don't need to follow the law. All right. Last precepts of the night. Let's go to James 5:16. James 5:16. Go ahead.
We're in the book of James, chapter 5, verse 16. And it reads, confess your faults one to another, and pray one for another, that ye may be healed. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much.
So confess your faults to one another. You know you're doing wrong, and you know you've gotten out of the spirit and you're walking after the flesh, confess your faults to one another and pray for one another that we may be healed. If we got a sister that we see that's walking outside of the spirit and she ain't doing right no more, pray for her so she can be healed. Being healed doesn't mean she fell and got a big old scrape on her arm and she needs some ointment. Being healed means she's not walking in the spirit no more. She's fell out of the spirit and she's walking in the flesh. So now we need to pray for her to help her get back into the spirit. So it says, confess your faults to one another. Don't be ashamed to go and and ask for forgiveness, or go to someone and say, hey, I'm slipping, or hey, I messed up. All right. So when you do that, you're walking in the ways of the Messiah, in the Ahaya. When you try to keep it all in and deal with yourself, now you're walking in the ways of your own heart, walking in the ways of yourself and what you like to do. So hopefully tonight's precepts and information helps out on how to get away from the wickedness of the evil heart, which tells you to do this and do that when you already know that's wrong. The wickedness of the evil hearts tell you to have a hardened heart and keep tension in between you and someone else or something when you know you need to let it go. So we touched about 3 different things tonight within this lesson when talking about walking in your own ways. So hopefully it helps to where we can go back on this information when things get a little tough. You got the precepts that say, hey, get back in the spirit, get back in line, get back in the way of a height. And as long as we do that, as long as we continue to keep trying to get back in his ways, you'll be somewhat all right. Why? Because you can't keep making the same error. Once you know the truth and you know the knowledge, it's time to do right. It's time to do right. You can't keep finding excuses, provisions for the flesh. Can't keep finding excuses to do what you like in the flesh. That's what Romans 13 and 14 said. We can't keep finding that excuse and that reason to do such. All right. So with that in mind, we'll say Shalom. All praises to the Most High. Let's pray out.